Why is it ending?
I don't know. Ask David and Dan when they come through. We could have gone to 11, 12, 13 seasons, but I guess they wanted a life.
So you wanted it to keep going.
Well, if you've read my novels, you know there was enough material for more seasons.
The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones video. In this video, I will be discussing something I have wanted to know for many years. Once again, thanks to James Hibberd's book, Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon, we finally know what scene from Game of Thrones George R.R. Martin hates the most. According to George R.R. Martin, his least favorite scene actually happens in the very first season of the show. Now, I don't want to say he was lying about this, although I can't help but wonder if he was honest about what scene he actually hates the most. Let me explain what I mean by that. I don't know about all of you, but I have always wondered what George R.R. Martin actually thought about the show, especially when it comes to how it ended. Ever since Game of Thrones started to distance itself from the books right around Season 4 and Season 5, it seemed as if George R.R. Martin had a falling out with the show's writers, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. You see, George was once a writer on the show as well. Some of the best episodes in Game of Thrones were written by George R.R. Martin, like the Battle of Blackwater Bay and The Lion and the Rose. But right after Season 4, he stopped writing for the show. Not only did he stop writing for Game of Thrones, he also stopped watching it and talking about it on social media. In fact, whenever a new season of the show would come out, George would actually go to his social media to talk about how great other shows were instead of Game of Thrones. Now, if you would ask George, he will say he stopped writing on the show because he wanted to focus on finishing The Winds of Winter, but I don't think that's entirely accurate. After he stopped writing episodes in Season 4, George went on to help create other shows and write other books, so if he was too busy writing The Winds of Winter to write for Game of Thrones, then how did he have all this time to do these other things, as well as attending many different conventions over the years? This is only speculation, but I think his relationship with Dan and Dave started to disintegrate as they went further and further away from his books. When you think about it, this was right around the same time he stopped writing for the show. Season 5 was the first season he did not write an episode, and that was when the show really started to separate itself from the books. I think he did not want to associate himself with that version of the story, but like I said, this is only a guess. Obviously, I don't know what really happened behind the scenes. Regardless of what happened, I still love the show for many years after that, and I still love the books. Either way, I have still wondered how George felt about the show after he left. He is still creating shows for HBO, like House of the Dragon, so I'm afraid we won't find out anytime soon. As long as George is under contract by HBO, I don't think he will reveal how he really feels, but George has now gone on record and said what his least favorite scene is. Let me show you what he said, then I will give you my thoughts because I do think there is a reason why he chose this scene instead of so many others that had a greater impact on the story. The article from Entertainment Weekly says, George R.R. Martin has a least favorite scene in Game of Thrones, and it's probably not the one you'd expect. In my new book, Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon, the Song of Ice and Fire saga author candidly discusses many aspects of HBO's hit series. He has high praise for many elements of the epic adaptation, such as the show's staging of Ned Stark's death and the Red Wedding, but occasionally he's critical as well. Martin reveals his least favorite scene came in the show's first season, when the production struggled with a budget that was very large for 2011, roughly $6 million each episode, but still not large enough to stage many elements of his grand fantasy vision. George said, "Where we really fell down in terms of budget was my least favorite scene in the entire show, in all 8 seasons. King Robert goes hunting," Martin says. 4 guys walking around on foot through the woods carrying spears, and Robert is giving Renly a hard time. In the books, Robert goes off hunting. We get word he was gored by a boar, and they bring him back and he dies. So I never did a hunting scene, but I knew what a royal hunting party was like. There would have been 100 guys, there would have been pavilions, there would have been huntsmen, there would have been dogs, there would have been horns blowing. That's how a king goes hunting. He wouldn't have just been walking through the woods with 3 of his friends holding spears hoping to meet a boar. But by then, we could not afford horses or dogs, or the other things he mentioned. This is the scene he hated the most. I'm sorry, but I find that a little hard to believe considering how insignificant that scene actually is. Now keep in mind, I know nothing, but I may have an idea of why he said it was this scene instead of something from the later seasons that greatly affected the show's outcome. For example, let's say George does hate the way Jaime Lannister's story ended, or the way Dany's story ended, or whoever. He can't say it was his least favorite because then we would know his way will be different, therefore it would spoil his books even more than they've already been spoiled. If he said the way Euron Greyjoy dies, or the way Cersei Lannister dies was really stupid, then we would know his version of their final scene will be very different. I think this is why he chose a scene from the first season that involves a character that's already dead in his books, that way we don't find out any other details about how his story does end. Again, this is only a guess, but this is how I can justify his answer, although he may really feel that way. For all I know, he may really think that scene is worse than all the other scenes that affected how the story actually ends. Maybe it's just me, but if I were to choose my least favorite scene, the one George R. R. Martin chose would not even make my top 100 worst scenes in the series. But at the end of the day, he knows way more than I do. Who am I to say what scene is the worst? Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with George, or do you think there is another scene that's worse than the one he chose? I would love to hear what you have to say. Now, before I go, I do want to give a special shout out to everyone who was kind enough to donate to my friend's GoFundMe. First of all, I will never be able to thank you enough, not only for your donations, but also for the condolences. For you to take a few moments out of your day to say the things that you did really meant a lot to me and his family. The least I can do is thank each and every one of you who left me a message saying you were able to help out a great friend of mine. I want to thank Billy Big Balls, Keith Strutchin, Yash, Tom Neville, Not Your Little Princess, Joe J, For Love Only, Jacqueline A, Martin Horowitz, Movies Are Terrible, Eric Thomas, Nabil Ramathullah, Charmaine Roberts, Ursa Chan, Lusty Argonian Maid, Draz O'Brien, Chief Silverback, Thomas Lewis, Teutonic Knight, Matthew Scott, Caesar Bandersnatch, Calicia MDE, MJ, Tiffany Lewis, David Cleve, Laura Smith, Sandy Hartcorn, Ann Alford, Rusco, Jamie Bachman, Rewind That, Stephanie Spain, Quinita, Tokun Arimu, Belly Belly 8, Mitch, Longfinger, Kirsten Rose, Kirsten Riley, Med Lampard, Matthew Fusco, Cookie Love, Daisy 1339, Samuel Bailey, OG Wacko, David McGeegan, KT Lindsay, Opal Rue, Freda Felcher 1, Eric Turner, Minksish, Kelly McClure, Tam Hutchins, Michael Barker, Terry McClure, Glitched Sound, Jess Voss, Melinda Redman, Reefer Madness, Bo W, The Mr. Saxy, Ryan Maxey, Sincerely Sicilian, British Redneck, Malcolm Palmer, Louis Alberto Vargas, Dylan Stacy, Alan Thompson, S. Akintorin, Ashwara Marugan, Chris Germain, Backfish LP, MP Collector, Anna Sabay, Fifeson Horsebane, Kara Stone, Leo Ward Shapiro, Crash and Mysterio Bro, James Gillen, Lazaro Fernandez, Courtney Vaughn, Matthew Hawkins, Ali O'Daniel, Angela Washington, and Corey Melendez. Once again, I just want to thank all of you for your donations and or your kind words. Thanks to all of you, his family will be able to get him the service he needs. I hope all of you have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.